Okay, gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And guys, in today's video I have a really awesome discussion I do want to have with you guys, but before we get into the details, the topic and everything like that, I do want to say that this is strictly speculation. This is nothing more than, me predicting, talking about my own theories and stuff like that. And, it's just a little something I'm thinking and predicting for the future. Nothing has been announced, confirmed by Square Enix or anything like that. So, if you're not into speculation, discussion, and everything, you probably want to click off this video right here and right now. But what's going on, guys? Welcome back. And the topic I want to talk about in today's video is Final Fantasy 17. Now, a lot of y'all are probably looking at me, especially when I'm releasing this video, saying, hey, Tanek, Final Fantasy 16 ain't even here yet. It don't come out for about another 2 weeks. Why on earth are you talking about 17 already? And only God knows how many years away Final Fantasy 17 is. Well, that's a very solid point, because we don't really have any information or details on Final Fantasy 17, like I disclaimed here at the beginning of the video. But I want to talk about the type of game that Final Fantasy 17 could be, and why I don't think Final Fantasy 17, if Final Fantasy 17 happens, which I'm assuming it should, I don't think it's going to be a traditional Final Fantasy game. I don't think it's going to be, the typical single player action RPG or turn-based RPG, depending on the route that Square Enix decides to go with Final Fantasy 17. You know why I don't think 17 is going to be one of those games? Because I think Final Fantasy 17 is going to be Square Enix's next MMO. Now, I just think that, and I'm going to go through some theories why. Let's go ahead and count through the past MMOs, shall we, and the past Final Fantasy games. We'll start around Final Fantasy 7. We had Final Fantasy 7, single-player turn-based RPG. 8, single-player turn-based RPG. 9, of course, same thing. 10, same thing. And then we have Final Fantasy 11, which was an MMO. We had Final Fantasy 12, then we had 13, and, I'm just going to call 13 and 13's spin-offs all one game, because, they're all involved in the same universe and stuff like that, even though they are technically different games, but they're still involved with like the same storyline, characters, and stuff like that. And then we got Final Fantasy 14. Well, it looks kind of like in between every 3 or 4 games is when they make another MMO. They made Final Fantasy 11, that was an MMO, 12, 13, and then the next third one was 14. We have Final Fantasy 15. We're going to have 16, which is a single player. The next third one in a row would be Final Fantasy 17. Now, like I said, that's really not much to go off of. But like I was telling you guys, it's just my own personal theory. And one other reason I feel like this is because, remember, the whole Warrior of Light quest line, the giant story of Final Fantasy 14, it's technically over. Everything that you're doing in Final Fantasy 14 now in the new patches, like 6.1, 0.2, 0.3, and 0.4, they're all new things. Well, what if whatever Final Fantasy 14's next expansion is, which I would assume would be after 6.5 and probably patch 7.0 would be 14's next expansion, if they're doing another expansion, which I'm assuming they probably are. Well, what if Final Fantasy 14's next expansion is the last expansion for 14, and the Final Fantasy MMO series were to continue in 17? Now, not only that, but as you guys know, Final Fantasy 14 has been out since the PlayStation 3. This MMO has went on for, over 10 years now. It's been through multiple generations of consoles and things like that, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the game needs to go anywhere. It's a very successful game. Hell, this game pretty much saved Square Enix from the low time that they were down in. But when I look at Final Fantasy 14, it's, I'm not going to say outdated. The game still looks good to today's standards and stuff like that. But it is also kind of dated in some of its own ways with the character models, Not everyone's a fan of tab target combat. There are people out there who love tab target combat. I personally don't have a problem with it. I'm a guy that prefers action combat, but I'll play tab target if that's how a game is. And it might be a good time for the game to make its next step and evolve, just like the traditional Final Fantasy games have evolved. Like, for example, look at how Final Fantasy used to be. It was typical turn-based RPG. Now it's been going more in that action combat direction. Ever since Final Fantasy 15, it was a bit more like hack and slash, kind of the way Kingdom Hearts is. Final Fantasy 16, hell, the combat guy for Devil May Cry did the combat in Final Fantasy 16. Well, what if Final Fantasy 17 ends up being the next Final Fantasy MMO, and it's an action combat MMORPG? Like, come on. You tell me you wouldn't want to play Final Fantasy 14's Dark Knight with action combat? Would you? Hell, I know I would. A lot of those awesome classes in 14 would work so well with action combat. I would love to play a dragoon that way, a samurai. There's all kinds of fun classes. Imagine the Reaper with action. What? Like, imagine Final Fantasy 14, with even better visuals, a brand new setting, a new story, with like an evolved version of like Terra's combat or something like it. I know, guys, I'm speculating here and just talking crazy and everything, but I'm just saying, I find it kind of crazy how the next Final Fantasy will be 17, and Final Fantasy 14's main storyline just recently ended, and it's a mystery to where this game is going to go. We don't have any announcement for a new expansion yet, but like I said, I'm assuming at least one more expansion is coming. If not, they might have multiple ones planned. But I'm just saying, Square Enix, with all the success of Final Fantasy XIV, they might be looking to make the next Final Fantasy MMO and evolve it in ways that, will improve it from what it currently has in Final Fantasy XIV. Like, look how, 11 evolved and how that became Final Fantasy XIV. Look at the original, 14 1.0 that really wasn't done well. And then you got A Realm Reborn. Well, what if they take all the lessons they learned from A Realm Reborn, look at fan feedback and everything, and make an even better game for Final Fantasy XVII? I know it's far-fetched, guys, but it was just for fun, and I wanted to throw some theories out there with Final Fantasy XVII. So let me know what y'all are thinking down in the comments below. But anyway, y'all enjoyed today's video? Smash that like button. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.